Hello and welcome to the next session in our genealogy webinar marathon. I'm Fiona Brooker and I'm hosting here live from New Zealand. And we're happy to learn from Miko Cleland, who will present what's new and exciting in MyHeritage's historical records. Miko is the Director of Content in Europe for MyHeritage and one of the world's leading genealogy websites. And he's regularly discussing family history on television, radio, online, and in print. Miko, how are you?
I'm good. Hello from sunny Edinburgh. And I don't get to say sunny Edinburgh very often, so I'm making the most of it.
That's excellent. I'm going to hand this over to you now.
Great stuff. Okay. Well, hello, everyone, from wherever you are, to all of the incredible endurance athletes over in the United States. I've been trying to do the whole 24 hours. I don't know how many of you are still going, but my heartfelt congratulations for making it this far, and for all the others who have awoken and come to join us for this presentation. We're going to look at MyHeritage's historical record collection, and I'm going to try my best to show you as much as I can about the latest additions and the cool things we've done in the past 12 months at MyHeritage. So, first thing I think I should do is explain what MyHeritage is. And we are one of the world's largest family history providers. We've got millions and millions of members to match with through DNA and through family trees. And of course, there are billions of records from every corner of the world as well on MyHeritage, and not just the easy parts. So the parts that you might be used to, that you might see in other websites, things that you know and love and are used to from everywhere, like census records, etc. Other things from Greece and Poland and all kinds of other places. So it's really exciting to be able to bring them all to you. Lots of these records are exclusive. Some of them are searchable in new ways, even if they're not exclusive. So it's another great chance to take a look at them. And also, we've made our own transcriptions. So perhaps if you can't find someone, look here as well. You have another chance to find things. And then, of course, we're full of clever technology, which is really exciting because we really like our technology at MyHeritage. And there are some great things that you can use to enhance your family history experience. But what does this mean for the genealogist? Because that's what's important. If you've got family from anywhere in the world, you need MyHeritage. Never give up on your search without first checking MyHeritage records. It's another chance to find the answer. The only thing that matters in your giant family history search is finding that record that will break down that brick wall and get you further. And so if you haven't also looked at MyHeritage, you haven't done a complete thorough search, and it's so easy to do, very quick, and always worthwhile. Upload your family tree to MyHeritage. You can do that from a GEDCOM, and you can take advantage of record matches, hints, other things that will search while you're sleeping. Perhaps after this long webinar marathon, you've got some time to rest, but MyHeritage will be doing the work in the background and matching against all these different records. And then, of course, you've got that extra chance to solve these mysteries, which is really, really helpful. So first, I'm going to show you all the ways we can make use of those records and how we can find them, because there are multiple ways to take advantage of all of these things. First, I mentioned you can upload your family tree from other providers. Very simple. The GEDCOM is the name of the format. There are guides on MyHeritage how to do it, and that will mean that you can find these records very quickly, and we'll do the hard work for you. You can search across all of our records at once, all of those 20 billion records, more than that now. And you can also make some targeted searches across very specific collections. First of all, that family tree. You can build a tree for yourself. You can start from scratch, or you can upload one. And you'll start to see those hints appear from records all the way across MyHeritage. And if you're okay with it, we'll send you emails and we'll give you new hints, confirm matches. You can just sit back and you can confirm or reject all the ones that you need to make sure that you have seen all the things that might interest you. So that's a great start. That's one way of using these records. Secondly, this is my favorite. You can use a collection catalog. And this is your one-stop shop. This is where you'll find all of those wonderful MyHeritage records. There are two kinds of searching depending on your preference. There's a broad look at all the records on the site at once. That's all right. It's good. It's great to get that overview. But there's also a targeted, narrow exploration of very specific collections when you want to know more about certain ancestors. Here it is. This is where the magic happens. All from that top bar, you'll see a little thing that says research. So, there's the main search here. You can add extra details using those buttons below, your criteria, and enter who you're looking for. Just click search, away you go. It's simple, it's easy. But if we want to narrow things down, just below the search box, you'll see these categories. Now, these will help you delve a little deeper. If you've got an idea of what you want, but you still want to keep it fairly broad, you see birth, marriage, and death, schools and universities, censuses, big numbers there. That's a little taste just underneath that of most recently added collections. I think some people might stick here. This gives you a real-time update, yes. But the problem, and I say problem, this is a good problem to have, there are so many new collections on MyHeritage, and we move so quickly. That's why I'm always so exhausted all the time, but wonderfully exhausted. If you stick with this, you only get that most modern slice of new records, and there's so much to see. So let me show you where we can do better. So we go to the collection catalog proper, and we'll do that by going into the top right, the research tab, and you'll notice that it will unfurl when you hover over it. It'll look like so. So we can click on any of these and get a deeper search of any of these categories. And I really recommend that Census Helper tool, by the way. It's a fantastic bit of technology. It makes life a lot easier. But then we can see here, the one we're looking for today, the collection catalog. And when we go to that, here we have our home away from home, and what a home it is. So on the left, we will see a list of all of the thousands of collections, all of the billions of records on MyHeritage. You can filter on the left-hand side by record type, by continent, by time. You can even filter to only show the collections that have images of records. It's all up to you. But let's make one very small change to the catalogue to keep us informed. So just in the top right, you can see it. Sort by number of records. That's great. That shows you the big stuff. It's helpful. But let's make one tiny change. So let's click on that, and you'll unfurl this. And this is what we want. We want to change that to last updated. This is the biggest tip I can give you today, and it's my favorite. Come back often to this part. You'll see every single new addition to MyHeritage as soon as it goes live. And this is why it's important, and this is really going to make your head spin. So we have added records in the past 12 months from 34 different countries, hundreds of millions of different new names, new collections all over the world, this huge growing database. We have been adding an immense amount of records from the UK, Canada, Scandinavia, France, Ireland, US, you name it, there's something for you. But we have been releasing for the past year and a half, 2 years, an average of a collection a day right now on MyHeritage. So that's millions and millions of new places to find your ancestors over and over again. Images, names, details, a powerhouse, something we're incredibly proud of. No other family history site is doing this right now, and it shows you why you should keep going back to that catalogue just to keep up with that pace, because you never know when the perfect record set may be appearing online. So I'm not going to show you everything today because, as you can imagine, there's over 365 collections in the past year, and we just haven't got enough time. But I'm going to give you a taste. Some of these record collections are going to help you, but I think all of them are going to illustrate the kinds of records you're going to find on MyHeritage. And a lot of the tips that I'm going to talk about, you can apply them to other collections as well. And don't worry if I don't mention your specific area. Look at that catalogue, do what we said, and keep checking back, because there are some huge things coming this year as well that I wish I could talk about. Maybe I'll have to do this presentation again in a year, and we'll see. First of all, the biggest resource I can think of is our members themselves. They're incredible. We have over 1 million of them at any one time, and they have provided billions and billions of potential relatives that you can match with family trees and, of course, DNA. Our DNA database is, I would say, very, very strong in Europe. If you have European heritage, then there's a great chance that someone in the old country has tested on MyHeritage, and you might find some cousins back there. And of course, again, just like family history, the only thing that matters is where you get that match. And you don't know which service your distant cousin may have tested with, so put your DNA everywhere. It's really important. It only takes one new relative to find that missing piece of information, and it may well be on MyHeritage. I'll have a big story that maybe one day I'll tell where MyHeritage changed my life through a DNA match. So there are some really big things said that can happen with just that one place, and you never know where that one place may be. So birth, marriage, and death is my big next record collection title, and there are lots of them to look at. So some specific ones that we're proud of. One that came pretty recently. I know many people have German roots. North Rhine-Westphalia marriages. So we released an exclusive death collection from North Rhine-Westphalia. It's the most populous state in Germany. We have added marriages to this collection of deaths, more coming again. German vital records you'll only find on MyHeritage. Currently, we have Münster, Detmold, and Arnsberg online, and the rest, which I believe are Cologne and Aachen, are coming very soon. And of course, we have some more great records from Germany coming as well in the near future. If you have German roots, we are certainly a place to look for. Here's a great example of some of the things we have. A really detailed index. You see, we've got date of birth, we've got father, mother, we've got for the groom and bride together, as well as the date of marriage, dates and names of witnesses, lots and lots of detail. Incredibly great for those of you, perhaps if you don't speak German, you still have lots of detail there to know you've got the right place and the right thing, and those beautiful color scanned images. I love that. So lovely. Especially I love German admin handwriting. They're so good at this. Germans love to write things down, and that's what I like when it comes to family history. They are people after my own heart. And in there, we have some other great things. We have these little notes on the side, and those notes tell you more. So in this particular case, we have in the marriages details of when these people died. So how incredible is that? So we not only have a marriage record, but a death record. And some of these death records, of course, might still be covered by privacy. So we might not see the large, full death record, but we'll be able to have this note. So we have a date, which is what we want when it comes to family history. So really important. Moving a little bit to the West, we have a large collection of French records, the largest collection of French records online, thanks to our wonderful friends at Filet, who are part of the MyHeritage family. We've got millions of vital records, names, dates, everything. It's huge, and it's getting bigger. These records in France are organized by town. They're not national. So what we do is we go to these towns, we put all these things together to make them into these easily accessible collections for the first time ever. We've got some huge editions just around the corner, but right now you will find the largest collection, really worth taking a look at if you have French relatives. And many people who went to France. It was a place where my parents visited as well. I've certainly had some myself. America is a huge focal point. We've had a huge growth in our United States vital records over the past year. We've added years to existing collections. We've added states that we didn't have any records from before. And we've added images of original records to existing collections. Only this week, we have launched a huge update. We've had New York City, births, deaths, and marriages. Massive collection with images, millions, tens of millions of records here. It's been a huge help for me. I was saying just only minutes ago about how great it is that you can go to that search page. You could enter in just a place. If you have ancestors from a certain parish or village, enter in just that place as the birthplace. Because of those really thorough transcripts, you can then find all of the people who perhaps married in New York who were born in your local parish. And because we've also transcribed the names of the parents, you'll know if those people are in your family tree pretty quickly. And you might be able to follow the path of those cousins that you've previously not known where they've gone to. So really, really helpful, really useful. And this is just a taste of some of the stuff that we have. Great resource. I love it. And there's many more. And another interesting one that I point you to when we talk about US birth, marriage, and death. I'm going to mention a certain county in the United States, Clark County, Nevada. Now, I don't know how many Americans are still online, so this might be a better question for those Europeans and Australians, New Zealanders, everything else. What is Clark County, Nevada famous for? Oh, yes, have a think. Do you know? Yes, Clark County, Nevada is the home of Las Vegas. And what is Las Vegas famous for other than the spectacle and the gambling? Marriages. It's famous for weddings. There are so many weddings in Las Vegas. People who've come and visited and got married, and you won't believe the people that have come from all over the world. It's incredible when you think of all the different names, places that are coming together in this collection. It's your extra place to check. And one example here, I found this out using Twitter when the Super Bowl was on. This was noted by one of the participants of this wedding. You might recognize this name, you might not. Maurice Micklewhite, 1973, married in Clark County, Nevada. We have this from our collection. Does anyone know who Maurice Micklewhite is? Well, he is better known as the famous actor Michael Caine, and there he is with his wife. He's now in his 90s. He did say himself that the secret to having a long life is to get a younger wife, and that is the marriage to that younger wife that we have in our record collections. And both those people aren't anywhere from Nevada. They aren't from anywhere even near Nevada. But this is a new place to look, and this collection has 20 million records. So you can imagine it's a huge place for marriage, and it's a huge place to check for anyone that you might have missed when it comes to getting those marriage dates. We've added almost 275 million new records to that US birth, marriage, and death collection. If you haven't looked for a while when it comes to these records, look again. Keep your tree uploaded. We said you'll get those record matches with all of these new collections, these marriages, these extra records will start to appear. And of course, make those searches yourself. It is hugely important. Same goes for Canada. We've had massive updates to our Canadian Vital Record collection. Nova Scotia, Alberta, British Columbia, and Prince Edward Island, or PEI, have been the source of our updates this year. Many of them have original images, beautiful to look at. And the thing is, all of these new updates are completely free. You don't even need a subscription to MyHeritage. All you have to do is go to MyHeritage and start searching. Here we have an example. Let's take a look. Wonderful color images again, beautiful to look at. Again, completely free to look at. Great index to go through, and this will also be matching with your family tree as well. So really useful, a great thing to look at. And now let's go to Britain. Britain has a problem, and I don't mean the usual, because we could talk for a long time about all of that. We've added some great parish registers recently for the UK. We've got a fair selection of wonderful things. We've released Cornwall, Manchester, Cheshire. We've got more coming. But there's another problem, and we're looking at the more recent period. So where did the deaths go? Civil registration started in 1837 in England and Wales, 1855 in Scotland. But there were some public privacy concerns that meant that English and Welsh death indexes stopped being published and given to family history websites and the general public after about 2007. That's the last year that you'll get hold of on family history websites. And you have to look at other sources to find out what happened to our modern cousins. Or, of course, the government itself has their own index, but it's very, very hard to search because they don't want you to just get lists because of practical obscurity, which is another thing we could talk about another time. But just to make sure that you have to know the name of who you're looking for before you start digging to keep identity safe. Scottish civil records are searchable all the way through, but they don't give much detail in the index as well. The same government records. So there are two newly added substitute sources that we can use on MyHeritage to help you on your way. They are the Deceased Estate Notices 1998 to 2024 and Funeral Notices and Obituaries for England, Scotland and Wales. So let's get an example. I have here an Alan Cleland. We see in the GRO, the General Register Office, entry that I search on the government website, the General Register Office tells me that I've got a quarter of death, which is the quarter that this was reported. So it may actually, he may have died in the quarter beforehand, and a district. So he may not have died in Sunderland. He may have died in any of the small towns around Sunderland, and this is the district that this is classed under. So I know some things. I've got his year of birth, but I need to know more if I want to know that's my person. Perhaps I'm looking for John Smith. This gets a lot harder then. So I take a look at the deceased estates notices, for example, so I can find the name in there and I can take a look. And when I do that, here's another one for a James Cullen. I have his full address. See 9 Black Dyke Road, Arnside in Cumbria. His death date, 29th of November 2002, and the date that this was published in the London Gazette. So this is when they notified people that this person has died. Does anyone have any claims on the estate? If they do, they've got a couple of months to notify the executors, and if not, they've had their chance and they've got no say when it comes to the estate itself. So you see the notice ID, the issue number. If you want to find the actual original image, you can do that, and it's a great place to get that exact date of death and the address, so we know we're looking at the right person. So that's one great thing. But then, of course, let's go to funeral notices and obituaries, which we mentioned just before. And let's go back to our Alan. We see death 2015, so that's about right. But the publication date, which is usually just quite around the same sort of time, 2nd of June 2015. And it was published in Newcastle in the Evening Chronicle. We see Alan Cleland of Burnham Field, and we see the exact date of death, 22nd of May 2015, age 65. We see that he's a husband of Valerie, and we see the date of the funeral as well, so that's great. We also see the place as well, Mountset Crematorium, which is a great thing because we now maybe know more about the funeral and perhaps could trace down some more records. And another thing, that thing at the bottom, view source record. Now that's great because it takes you to the original source of this. We released these in partnership with a company called Reach, who publish many newspapers from around the UK and Ireland, and these obituaries that are there published often have photographs. So here's an example with a photograph where we can see not only this great amount of detail about this person's life, but also a photograph of perhaps that distant cousin. And I have lost count of the number of times I've done this, and I've found a 5th or 6th or 7th cousin, a picture that I can then add to my family tree and use. And what a great thing to see. Coming soon as well, there are more things that can help. We're adding almost 2 million names to our United Kingdom Death Index, 1980 to 2022. This isn't sourced from death indexes. This is sourced from funeral homes, from notices. It's going to go forward for another year to 2073, but also some earlier deaths as well are going to go in. It gives you more detail than those death indexes that we mentioned. We get full dates of birth, we get dates of death, town of death, and the postcode sector as well, which is great because it gives you the area of the town. So again, we look at Alan Cleland and we see his date of death, which we knew from the obituary, and we get his exact date of birth as well now. So we are pretty sure, perhaps if we've got these details, that this is the right guy and this is what we're looking for. We also know NE166, so we know the part of Newcastle around that area that he lives in, which can also be incredibly helpful. So census and census substitutes, another huge category as we move through our rocket tour. We can look at Canada first. The big news in Canadian genealogy this year, past 12 months, has been the 1931 Canadian census. We have it online. We made a new index for it. 10.4 million individuals released in collaboration with Library and Archives Canada. It's the most detailed. It's the latest census that anyone with Canadian family can look at. People, now this is interesting that you may not be aware of if you're not Canadian, and it makes it different to other censuses. In Canada, these people were enumerated in their usual residences, not their location on census night, which is different. Usually a census is a photograph of a moment in time and you look at just exactly what's happening on that day. No, this is where you usually are. So it's different from other resources you may be used to. Now let's take a look. We've got the left side, Form 1B. We see all of this detail in name, place of abode, description, personal description, everything else. We've got lots of different names, details. We can see the place of birth, not just of the person, but of the mother and father as well. And at the bottom, we have a lot of abbreviation guides, which means when you see these little letters, you see everything else, S, W, N, O, all these kind of things, you can see exactly what they mean by taking a look at the bottom if you're unsure. So very helpful. And it also useful because it does the same thing in English and French. So that's helpful too. Then now let's take a look at the right side. So the right side also has some great details: occupation, religion, education, language, year of immigration, year of naturalization. Great things to lead us to other records. This is an incredibly detailed census, and it's one of my favorites. Very excited to use this when it comes to family history. Well, again, those things at the bottom, which will give you more detail and tell you what these codes mean when we're looking for different certain elements themselves. Then, of course, we have released the 1910 Norway census, which we had before, but we've now added images to this. Color, wonderful, beautiful images. And those come alongside that original index. Family units in the 1910 Norway census appear with full dates of birth, as well as additional information on the images themselves. So we've got that big transcript. You see the date of birth there. Stefan Jansen, born the 23rd of August, 1890 in Tromsø. And he is in Thorjusholm in Tromøy, in Aust-Agder in Norway in 1910. He's 19, he's single, ladies. And so you have the name of his father, his mother, and his siblings. And we have this wonderful household view, so we can see the whole family as a unit, which is really, really helpful. It's great. And then when we go to the image itself, this is what we didn't have before, and this is why it's really exciting. So we have more information. We have details that can really help. Perhaps we can look at their occupation. We can look at more. And of course, it's always nice to see that wonderful image. So very happy with these ones too. Now let's go back to France. We've updated the 1911, 1921, and 1931 French census. Same way as the births, marriages, and deaths. These are stored place by place, putting them together to make a national collection for the first time. 24 different departments in here, 37 million new names just in these last 12 months, added to a huge collection already. And this is a big project that we keep working on, and we're going to keep going to give you the first time ever national view of France. Ongoing project. There's so many more on the way. It's a big one. And what's exciting as well, so in 1931, for example, we have had to, for privacy reasons, redact certain names of those people who are younger than 100 years old. But we can remove these over time. And also, it means that we can bring you these really late censuses when it comes to parts of Europe. You know, many of these things are unavailable, so it's a great thing to see that we can reveal these things to you. So I'm very excited to bring these records online and to index them and get them together for the first time ever. We have modern telephone directories as well. Tens of millions of these records, recent homes and businesses, a great chance again to find those modern cousins, addresses of potentially living cousins. You can confirm they're still around, which means you can trace them on other records. We've currently published every nation in the UK, so Scotland, Wales, England, and Northern Ireland, Denmark, and Germany. But there are many more nations coming soon. So if you have European heritage and European modern cousins, could be a great place to look. Really, really helpful. A little collection that I really like is the half tax of England and Wales, 1662 to 1674. This is an interesting one. It's an early property tax. It was a progressive tax, which is quite, unique in the old days because it's quite hard to do the admin for these kind of things. But it was created out of laziness. It's quite easy to count hearths. It's difficult to count heads because everyone keeps moving around. So it's much easier to do that. So it's still, a little lazy, but it's going in the right way. It's a little more progressive. You have a bigger house, you've got more hearths, you pay more tax. And you paid it twice a year, 29th September, 25th of March. If you were poor, you were often exempted. So if you were paying poor church rates, then if you were paying that, then you were exempt. If you're inhabiting a house, a tenement, or land worth less than 20 shillings, which is pound, or rent per annum. If you had assets worth less than £10. Also, private for ovens, furnaces, kilns, and blowing houses, hospitals, almshouses, who had a revenue of less than £100 per annum, which is quite a lot at this kind of point, also are exempted. So You won't find everyone in here, but it's a really good census substitute. It can extend your ancestors' residence. We have Cheshire, Durham, Essex, Gloucestershire, Kent, Middlesex, which includes London, Norfolk, Surrey, Sussex, Warwickshire, Westmoreland, Yorkshire, and Pembrokeshire. So let's use a great example. Here we have a lovely name, Rafe Duncalf. It's his baptism here. We can see here just in the England Births and Christenings collection, 1616, Mobberley in Cheshire. So then I can take this. Let's go forward. I find a Rafe Duncalf in 1664 with one hearth. So he's got a fairly modest house, but he's there and he's still alive. And this is a very small village. It's a pretty unique name. It's extended my known years of residence. If I'm looking for a burial record or anything like that, I now know where I need to start focusing my attention, and it is really, really helpful. I can do this quite often in this period. So it's a really good resource for doing this, and I think it's underused and understood. So now you overstand it rather than understand it, and I hope it's helpful to you as well. Migration records are fantastic for all of us, because I don't know anyone who has family that has all stayed in one place, whether they're cousins that have gone somewhere or you are coming from a migrant family yourself. They're always essential for family history research. And we are continuing to add millions and millions of records from both sides of the journey, not just in the old country, but in the new country as well. Journeys entering the US, Texas, Florida, Louisiana. We recently added indexes to New York passenger lists. So not just the passenger lists, which people have, and we've had those for a long time, but the book indexes, which is a second chance to find names. Really helpful if you're stuck and can't find someone. Massachusetts, California, Hawaii. And we focus on all kinds of migration, not just the ones that you're very, very used to. There are some huge collections in terms of this coming this year. I can't wait to talk about them. Passenger lists are great. But here we have, for example, Hedwig, who is born in 1901. He's Prussian. He left in 1933 from the Rhineland in Prussia at that point, to New York. So this is from North Rhine-Westphalia, this record from those wonderful state archives there. But if I take that information, I know Hedwig Cook departed 1933 to get to New York. I can then find him in the New York passenger lists. There he is, and I see his passport details. I see a lot of extra information. Really helpful. It's been great, and I can now use that extra information to know where he's originally from, which isn't in this particular record. So huge extra bonus there we've got. Then we have migration records from, I said, other places, not just the ones you're used to. So here, these are refugees from Asia Minor, from that transfer of population, 1918 to 1923. If you're interested in Greek heritage, incredible resource here, records with images you might not see anywhere else. We've got migration to the Americas from Spain and from the Iberian Peninsula, and this covers South America, it covers Mexico, it covers the Caribbean, and we have those fantastic photographs. I love it. They're brilliant, and they're available again on MyHeritage, searchable, and with some fantastic detail. Now, the big thing that we've released in the past 12 months, of course, comes towards newspapers, and it's something that I think will completely transform what we're doing. You've probably heard the news, of course, and that is that we have launched Old News. Old news is good news, and it's something that we're very, very proud of. This is a brand new website for historical newspapers. Hundreds of millions of pages from around the world, with more added regularly. There are many more coming only, I think, in a week or so. There's another massive update. It comes from international newspapers, gazettes, local titles. It instantly more than doubles the amount of newspaper content that was previously available on MyHeritage. So a really great thing to add. And newspapers are a treasure trove. They are tremendous value to genealogists, historians, educators. In the past, you didn't really need to be famous to be in a newspaper. You can find anyone in there. MyHeritage will have oldnews.com as their focal point for historical newspapers going forward. But it's an advantage for everyone because we have indexes that will be on MyHeritage. You can search and you can take a look at all times as well. This release is just the beginning. We have an incredible pipeline of all these different features, content. It's going to be the leading repository of international historical newspapers, and that's exciting as well. It's not just the English-speaking world we're talking about, it's beyond as well, which is what makes this different. We've got publications from all of these different places, local, national, international news, lots and lots of coverage from the 1800s and 1900s. Newspapers currently, right now, for publications in the US, Canada, UK, Austria, Germany, Czechia, the Netherlands, Australia, coming soon. We have other countries, which I don't want to reveal too much yet. Millions of newspaper pages added regularly. Content from all these extra countries are coming. Some people will be very excited if you're tuning in from, say, New Zealand. And I'm going to give you a great example. This is my great-great-grandfather, Silas Duffield, 1846 to 1903. He became a bit of a big shot and ended up running a factory, which his son then ran into the ground a year after he died. And I am not from a rich family, but an exciting idea to know that at some point I had a rich ancestor. But what I didn't know, which I found using old news, is that in 1877, he went bankrupt. So he failed at his first time go at making business, which is interesting because I didn't know that at all. And it's nice to see that the guy tried, failed, got back on the horse and succeeded. And so it's a nice bit of story that I can now add to my family tree, which I got from here. And then, of course, in 1904, 31st of January, I have the details of that company being run into the ground by his son. So Alfred Duffield. It's an interesting thing to see and to get that story. And again, these things I didn't have, and I've got them using old news. It's available in 11 languages right now: English, French, German, Dutch, Danish, Norwegian, Swedish, Finnish, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. And more newspapers in some of these languages you'll be seeing soon. And there are newspapers from all over the world, as I said. This is an interesting title. Different languages, of course, as well. We're very proud of the way we index these things. This is from the land of the Vespers, Sicily. And it's about my family over there in Sicily. I'm part Sicilian. And I'll read you some of it. I won't read you too much because it's a strange one. A ferocious exercise out of jealousy in Terranova. Greco Mattia di Emanuele seems to be young and shapely. 25 years old. Her husband had been away fighting in the war for 17 months. Giuseppe Nobile, farmer, 30 years old, returned and was jealous. He argued with his wife and the families had to intervene. Then one night, he's saying here, it may have been due to the fumes of the wine, which is an interesting description, which I really like. Means he was probably drunk. He stabbed her 12 times, which is, well, you know. But you see, Italian death records don't give you cause of death. So I had this aunt's details of death. I know she died quite young, but I thought she may have been ill or something like that. I have no idea of this story. Incredible. Found this, again, using old news because of this searching, indexing in all these different languages. Really, really helpful. And just to show that everything in newspapers is covered, all kinds of stuff, on the same page, old teeth, you know, we pay up to $15 per set, cash, old jewelry, everything. The whole world is in a newspaper. It's incredible. And now this is why it's exciting. So we scan it with optical character recognition, OCR, and we enhance this with all these algorithms that we have. And that means that we have a brand new index. Even if you've seen these things elsewhere, you will not see this index, which means that you've got an even better chance of finding your relatives and finding details. I've seen online people saying they found things they couldn't find anywhere else. And that's because of this new technology. Really great. We optimize the performance. We've got technical implementation that does it. This is something that's far above my head, but if you're technical, it's served from a content distribution network through a point of presence closest to the user, which means that it's very, very fast, I'm told. I'm a genealogist, not a technical person, but that some people will get excited by that. So this is it. To get started, go to oldnews.com. If you've got a MyHeritage account, you can click log in on the top right of the page. Use the same credentials as you use with MyHeritage itself. So you can use that. New users that register on Old News can use the same login to access MyHeritage. It's a search engine here. You can just go for anything, a name, person, an event, topic, put the search terms in and click search. Every single search result gives you that zoomed in thumbnail of the article. You've got your search terms highlighted, which means you can see that we're in the right place. And here we see that article on the full page, still with those highlights. So you get there very, very quickly. On the top right of the page, you'll see some controls, and those allow you to print the newspaper page, to download it, and to view the optical character recognition that we extracted from that text, which is very, very helpful because that OCR text can be copied and pasted anywhere that you please. There's on the bottom right as well, there are some icons to zoom in or out. You can view the full screen article if you want to get closer, and you can adjust the contrast and brightness to get the best that you can out of things. And on the bottom as well, we have the page number, so we can browse through that newspaper, which is always helpful as well, and to make sure that perhaps we've got the whole story. So moving forward, this is where you'll find new newspaper images, but there'll be lots. So, but those on MyHeritage, you said, we'll still have those new places to search. The index content will be on both websites, and there'll be a special indication that it's new on the right-hand side of the record page, which will tell you that it's on old news. So we can see here, the newspaper name index. I looked here, I found this, and it tells me this is on old news, and I can go straight to view that full newspaper page on old news. Many of the titles on old news are free as well, so you can see those too without an extra subscription. If not, then you can use this and you know when this is time. And of course, there'll be other things as well. There's matches coming through on your tree to give you more clues that this is where to look. This is just the beginning. There are new features coming as well. New browsing features, saving, sharing newspaper clippings. They're all coming soon. And many, many more pages of newspapers all around the world. And that is not all. So we are making structured vital notices and name indexes as we speak. And these will be available on MyHeritage and matched to your family tree. Some are already happening. You may have seen some notifications already, but there are many more too. And you'll get these regular discoveries through those newspaper match notifications. So that's exciting. You've sat so diligently and gone through all of this with me. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a treat and just give you a taste of what's coming in the next 12 months. And I know you're going to be excited because this is a huge 12 months. So it's bigger than I've ever seen. There's so many things to talk about, so I'm going to try really hard to quickly go over some things. So in short, we're growing incredibly fast. Keep going back to that catalog, set sort by date added, and do that regularly to see that material as it goes live. We're putting so many records live, you never know when that perfect collection might appear. We've got new Scandinavian records coming. We've got records from Sweden, from Denmark, from Austria, from France, Germany, the Netherlands, you name it, New Zealand, Australia, Britain, Ireland, and we're not just sleeping on the English-speaking world. Well, we're not sleeping on the English-speaking world. You'll find huge collections coming from the UK in the next year, from the US, from Canada, tens of millions of records from England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Australia. And some of these you might not find anywhere else. We've got some great exclusive collections from the UK coming in the next year as well. Some that I think you'll really get excited by. And the ones that you can find anywhere else, you couldn't search in those different ways as well. So still worth taking a look. Here's a sneak preview of a couple of collections that I get excited by that we are about to release. Some very, very close indeed. We like records that can help you to tell stories. And I like collections with photographs of individuals. So these are two collections that I'm really excited by. First of all, this is a book, a special book that was published after the First World War, the British Jury Book of Honour, which lists everyone who served in the Commonwealth Armed Forces of Jewish extraction. But this book is full of photographs of those people who fought. I've used the MyHeritage enhancement tools to get a little bit more detail out of these, to colorize them and to see these pictures. And then, of course, I keep going. I can take things further still. And then I've used the MyHeritage tools to bring this guy to life. And what's exciting about this, I think, and what makes this really personal and poignant, is that these photographs, their military uniform, and these people who may not have come home, these might be the last photos ever taken of some of these individuals, which sends a chill down my spine. It's an incredible thought that we have that now, and we can use that to at least pay tribute to these people and make sure that we can tell their story properly. So really, really important indeed. Then another great European collection. I have just used those MyHeritage tools again to enhance. We can see just how clear and crisp and wonderful it is when we do this. This is a collection of Norwegian prisoners. And I like this because, of course, it goes through a great period of time of photography. This is a relatively early one. I colorized it as well there. Some people like colorization, some people don't, but it is always interesting to take a look at. This is from the 1870s, so you can see she's wearing more traditional gear. You've got a guy here from the turn of the 1900s, quite a young chap. I love the fact you have that mirror in the background so you can see the side view as well, so you get the full view of this person. And then it even goes quite late. So we're looking at this person here from the 1930s. I've done again, colorized and crisped it up. And now, we could walk past this person in the street, I think, really, and we wouldn't bat an eyelid. So it's a great way of bringing our ancestors to life and showing what they're like, and perhaps bringing them a little bit closer to home. So that ties us into summing up what we've all talked about today. There are so many records on MyHeritage that it's impossible to go through all of them without taking up all of your 24 hours. But hopefully I've given you a taste and shown you some potential of what's possible. MyHeritage is an essential tool for any genealogist. We add all those new records. Some of them are free for everyone, so it's still always worth searching. And just keep up to date with all of those new releases, whether that's by reading our blog or going to that catalogue and sorting in this way, because you never know when that perfect record is coming, and that's what's important. Finding the results that you want, getting further in your family tree, and I'm delighted to have played even a small part, and so has all the team here at MyHeritage, in finding those new ancestors and relatives, and I hope you find many more thanks to this resource, and I hope maybe I've given you some ideas. So thank you very much for listening, and that is me. Thanks a lot, and back to Fiona.
And thank you, Miko. I'm just going to pull us straight back because I know that I need to show everyone the screen to tell them that the webinar is being recorded, and you'll be able to watch that in the next week for free. And in fact, this one's going to be freely available going forward as well. The door prize for this hour is a 1-year subscription to that really nice old news website that you were just talking about. And the winner of that subscription is Yolanda Feaster. So keep a lookout. You'll get a message through very soon in the next week about how to claim that. Now, I've got about 2 minutes to ask you about 50 questions, I think. No, not quite that many. So here we go. Old news, is there an extra cost to get to that website? Because quite a few people asked about that.
So there's an extra subscription called the Omni subscription, which we've released. I said the indexes, they're on MyHeritage. You can search those, and some of the newspapers are free. For example, you might be excited by the Australian newspapers. They're free for everyone, no matter what. But this Omni subscription is a little bit more, but it also includes all of the legacy webinars and access to all of those as well. So it's a collection of all of these things. So it is quite useful. Because of these indexes that are on there, you can search them on MyHeritage, and if you find some things that you want to look at, then you know it's time to get your old news subscription. And it's free to search always. So take a look, see if there's exciting things, and then decide if it's worth it. But there's definitely a lot coming and a lot there already. I think it's quite exciting.
Is there a list of all the newspapers that are there? Can we go to a website and just see a list?
Not at the moment, because there are so many being added so quickly. As soon as we put it up, it would be out of date. So once we've settled in and we've got a bit more done, then yes, there will be. Right now, it's moving so fast that it would be doing you a disservice. So it will come. At the moment, the best thing to do is just look for your names, your places, and see what you get back.
Excellent. And this may give you more of an idea of where to go to. That's my phone telling me I need to stop. But I've got people asking, are there records for Hong Kong police records, records for South Africa, records for Poland, records for Israel. I think that's where that was my first list of countries. So plenty of places to still perhaps go and look for more records to bring them all to us.
Yes, well, all of those places we have things I know of. So certainly there'll be more. Plenty from Israel, plenty from the things. There's some great records from Hong Kong and that area on the way. Same with South Africa. And so yes, for those where there aren't lots on there already, there are more coming. And so that British Jury Book of Honour, if you're looking for Israel, huge number of people who joined, who were in what was then Palestine and what was then a Commonwealth area. So that's going to be a great resource for you as well. I know that people in our office in Tel Aviv were finding the first early presidents and prime ministers of Israel in there and things fighting in the First World War, and again, photographs of those people as well. So incredible resource, and many more as well, many exclusive too.
Fantastic. Coming up in the next hour is Shauna Hicks with her top 5 websites for Victorian research in Australia. Thanks again, Miko. As I say, lots of questions, and I wish we had more time to answer a few, but we will see everyone back in 10 minutes' time.